On Christmas morning, I was hit with a harsh reality. My dad's text came in as I was sitting alone in my apartment. "Thanks for existing. Don't come." That brief 6-word message was all it took to shatter the pretense that everything had been fine for the past 18 months. For all that time, I'd been covering all of my sister Elena's expenses. Rent, food, utilities, you name it. She had told me she lost her job and needed time to get back on her feet. And like a good brother, I didn't question it and just stepped up. She was already on her way to our parents' Christmas dinner when she dropped a bomb on me. Just before she left, she casually mentioned, "I told them you're basically squatting here since your name isn't on the lease." My hands, which were in the dishwater, froze. I asked her what she had told them. She just shrugged as if it were nothing. "Relax," she said. "I just didn't want them thinking I'm letting you crash for free." But I wasn't crashing. I was paying every single bill. "Yeah, well, they don't need to know that," she replied before disappearing out the door. That Christmas Eve, I found myself staring at the cheap string lights I had put up weeks ago, wondering how many more years I would keep supporting people who had already written me off. By midnight, I had made a decision. I took my toolkit and changed all the locks on the apartment. I felt no hesitation, no guilt. When I finally went to bed, the place felt different. Lighter, safer, and for the first time truly mine. At about 8:17 a.m., I heard keys fumbling at the door, followed by a curse when they didn't work and then pounding. I didn't open the door. Instead, I left 2 wrapped boxes on the welcome mat. One was perfectly wrapped with a ribbon, but the other one was moving. You see, Elena's financial requests started out small. First for groceries, then rent, then her student loans, which she promised she'd pay back soon. When she got fired again, I didn't ask questions. I just picked up extra shifts, sold my laptop, and gave her what she needed. I convinced myself it was only temporary. Just what good brothers do. But temporary became routine. Routine became an obligation. And obligation turned into silence. What can you say to someone who lets you pay all their bills but then tells your parents that you're squatting in your own apartment? I should have seen this coming. Elena had always been a master manipulator. As a child, she would cry to get her way out of any trouble. And as an adult, she would cry to get her way into everyone's wallets. To our parents, she was a creative soul. Chaotic but well-meaning. I was seen as too serious, too controlling, and too cold. But you become cold when love comes with a price tag. I had stopped going to family dinners months ago because every conversation became a guilt trip about Elena's delicate spirit and how I needed to be more understanding. The breaking point came 3 weeks before Christmas. After a 12-hour shift, I picked up takeout for both of us. Elena didn't even look up from her phone. She casually asked, "Can you Venmo me for my part of the food?" I was stunned. I asked her if she meant the food I bought with my own money since she hadn't paid rent in 3 months. She just shrugged and said, "Yeah, but you chose to do that. I didn't ask you to." That's when I realized she felt absolutely no guilt. She wasn't using me out of desperation. She was using me because I allowed it. A week later, I found a credit card bill in my name for $6,438.72 spent at Sephora, Apple, Zara, a spa resort, and even a tattoo deposit. She had stolen my identity. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I went quiet, observed her, and documented everything. I watched her walk around in new boots and an Apple Watch, laughing on FaceTime about her stupid brother, while I was just 5 feet away. I had planned to wait until February to say something, but then Christmas arrived with Dad's cruel text and Elena's final blow. You can't really expect them to see you as family when you act like a tenant. You don't belong. So I changed the locks. I left her the gifts I had originally bought because I'm not cruel. But I added that second box, the one with copies of her credit card statements marked in red and a flash drive containing audio recordings of her bragging to her friends. In one recording, she laughed and said, "Honestly, he deserves it. He's like a bank with no overdraft fees. Why wouldn't I take advantage?" The box trembled because I had hidden my old phone inside, set to vibrate on a scheduled alarm. I wanted her to feel the same confusion, rattled, and shaken feeling that I had felt all year. When the banging started at my door, I felt surprisingly calm. Elena was there, her mascara smudged, clutching that moving silver box like it was a bomb. "What is this?" she screamed. I told her it was a Christmas present and asked if she had opened it. After I stepped aside, she stormed in. The ribbon was half untied. She yanked off the lid and stared in silence. Inside were printed screenshots of her text conversations calling me a freeloader and a walking paycheck, along with a flash drive labeled for Dad. "Play this if you still doubt me." "You're heartless," she whispered. "No," I replied. "Just done." My phone rang. It was Dad. I answered on speaker. "Son, what's going on?" he asked. "Your sister showed us what you left her." "That was cruel." I laughed bitterly. "You mean the family that told me not to come to Christmas?" "That wasn't about you," he snapped. "You've been cold. Isolating yourself." "You told me not to come," I said. "I listened." Elena grabbed the phone. "Dad, he's completely lost it. He changed the locks. He's stalking me." "Please." I interrupted, taking the phone back. "Why don't you tell him what's really in that box?" There was silence. "Dad, do you know who's been using my name to open credit accounts? Who's $6,438 in debt under my identity?" More silence. "Is that true?" he asked. "He's lying," Elena shouted. "He's trying to get attention." I asked him, "Then why does Capital One have her email attached to an account with my social security number? Why are there receipts from stores she named?" There was no answer. I walked to my shelf, grabbed a small speaker and hit play. Elena's voice filled the room. "He's just so easy to manipulate. He always feels guilty. I could burn down the apartment and he'd still pay my phone bill." Her face went white. "That's out of context," she said. "Really?" "Yes. What's the context of he deserves to suffer?" Dad went silent. "So did she. So did the world." Then there was a soft knock. I opened the door to see my mom. And behind her was Mike, Elena's ex-boyfriend. "I need to talk to both of you," Mike said, his voice trembling with fury. "I just found out someone's been using my name too. 2 iPhones were ordered last month and a hotel was booked in my name. They called me for payment today." He looked directly at Elena. "Was it you?" She opened and closed her mouth like a fish gasping for air. Mike glanced at the evidence on my coffee table. "I think you should leave," he told Elena. "I'm staying here," she snapped. "I mean," Mike said, looking at me, "if you'll let me crash for a few days, I think we've both been played by the same person." Elena blinked as if she'd been slapped. "You're siding with him." "I'm done siding with liars," he replied. For the first time in her life, she had no script, no fake tears, and no one left to manipulate. "Don't worry," I said, tossing her coat from the chair. "Your things are in the hallway next to the trash. Feel free to guess which is which." She left without another word. The next morning, silence filled my apartment, but it wasn't the empty kind. This was an earned silence. I stood in the kitchen with reheated coffee, watching the steam rise in lazy spirals. I had expected to feel guilt, maybe even regret. Instead, I felt at peace. Mike was still asleep on the couch. When he woke up, he saw my laptop open and raised an eyebrow. "Working already? Getting my money back?" I had been compiling evidence all night. Screenshots, bank statements, IP records, receipts, and everything she had done under my name. I filed a formal identity theft report and opened cases with every affected institution. Capital One was the first to respond, flagging her account and starting a fraud investigation. By Friday, I got confirmation. A full reimbursement of $6,438.72. But I wasn't finished. I opened a spreadsheet and started calculating 18 months of supporting 2 people. Rent, utilities, groceries, and random emergencies. When I finished, my stomach turned. It came out to $17,892, not including the emotional damage or the weeks I had skipped meals to stay ahead. Called a lawyer. "I want restitution," I told him. "She lived off me for over a year, and my parents encouraged it." He was sharp, expensive, and he smiled like he had already won. "Do you have proof?" he asked. I slid a flash drive across his desk. He plugged it in, scanned the files, and his eyes widened. "You've documented everything. This isn't just identity theft. This is long-term financial exploitation." 3 weeks later, certified letters landed at my parents' home. Within 20 minutes, my mom called. "What are you doing?" she snapped. "You're suing us after everything we've done for you." "Done to me," I corrected. "Let's not twist it. We're your family," she said. "You are also co-signers on utility bills and added me to a third without my consent. That's fraud." The line went quiet. Then her voice dropped. "We raised you." "I paid for everything," I said. "I was never staying. I was supporting. There's a difference." 3 days later, my grandmother called. I hadn't heard from her in months. "I saw the lawsuit," she said firmly. "And I saw the bank statements. Your father cashed out over $9,000 from a savings bond created in your name. He used it to pay off Elena's car." My heart dropped. I didn't even know there was a bond. "Well, there isn't any more," she said. "I've frozen what's left and moved the account. It's yours again where it should have been." In court, Elena wore beige as if she was auditioning for sympathy. Mom wore black. Dad avoided eye contact. My lawyer laid it all out. Page after page of statements, audio recordings, text messages, bank fraud, and power of attorney misuse. Elena tried to cry. Mom claimed confusion. Dad just looked tired. But the judge wasn't tired. "You listed your son's name on financial documents without consent?" she asked my mother. "I mean, it was family," my mom said. "Ma'am, yes or no?" the judge asked. Silence. Then, yes. The ruling came quickly. I was awarded $13,000 in restitution, and all fraudulent debts were cleared, with court costs covered. 2 weeks later, I received a handwritten letter with no return address. It was in Elena's writing. "You happy now? You made your point," it read. Inside was a photo of us as kids under a Christmas tree, with her clinging to me as if I was the only thing keeping her balanced. I grabbed a pen and wrote on the back, "You let go first," and then I burned it. It's funny what silence sounds like when you've earned it. 3 months after the court ruling, I still hadn't heard from my parents. No texts, no calls, not even a birthday card. And you know what? I no longer had to explain myself or prove that I wasn't a disappointment. My life finally belonged to me. Sometimes people ask if it was cruel to cut off my whole family. My answer is always the same. It was necessary. I spent years shrinking myself to fit their comfort, smiling through insults, and writing checks instead of setting boundaries. The real cruelty was how long I let it happen. When I finally stopped playing the obedient son and generous brother, I saw the truth. They didn't miss me, they missed what I gave them. One afternoon in May, I received an email from someone named Tessa, one of Elena's old friends. The subject line read, "Your sister isn't doing well." The message was short. "She's couch surfing. Lost her job again. Says you ruined her life. Thought you'd want to know." I stared at the screen for a long time, then hit delete. Not because I didn't care, but because caring isn't the same as going back. Last month, I ran into Dad at a gas station. We locked eyes across the pumps. He looked older and smaller, like someone who had finally run out of excuses. He approached slowly, not with anger, but with a strange sense of shame. "You look good," he said. He nodded. "Your mother's still angry. She says you ruined Christmas." I raised an eyebrow. "That's funny," I said. "She started it with 'Don't come.'" He sighed. "Family fights, son." "No," I said. "Families fight for each other. You fought for Elena. You never fought for me." He didn't have a response. He just stood there, waiting for me to give him a way back in. I didn't. I got in my car and drove away, and it felt like peace. This wasn't revenge. This was freedom. Let me make something clear. This wasn't about vengeance or proving I was right, even though I was. This was about letting go of a system where love meant transactions. I didn't set out to destroy my family. I just stopped destroying myself to protect them. People like Elena survive because others keep absorbing the impact. I stopped absorbing and the whole machine fell apart. 2 weeks ago, I received a package with no return address. Inside was a simple envelope containing one photograph. Me and Elena's daughter, Ellie, from years ago. She was maybe 4, sitting on my shoulders, laughing and gripping my face with her tiny hands. On the back, in shaky, unfamiliar writing, it said, "I'm sorry for how my mom treated you. Thank you for everything, Ellie." I stared at those words until they blurred. I still don't know how she got my address. Maybe my grandmother, maybe fate. But that one note made everything worth it. I keep that photo on my desk now, not because it ties me to the past, but because it reminds me that walking away doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you start loving yourself more. And that's not revenge. That's freedom.